have any questions, ask now if you like, if you want to explore anything. You know, at least close to the topic at hand. Yeah, that would be helpful. No? You get the sense of the before and after. You feel it after a while. Yeah, so. And it's almost as if the broadcast of the radio station is after to the before. Yeah, it sounds like it. And it's so before. After a while, you get a lot of feelings around that. Yeah. This is like, you know, there was one of the people I went to see. Great. And let me get Angie. Angie's not feeling well still. I just admitted it. Well, you see that if you go to a meeting, someone tells you that, can you hear me? Yeah. Tells you there is no body, what's going to be, the head is going to claim that as the hearer of that as a body. See, so it doesn't work in my view. If you go one way, which is, all right, you're not that, but you gotta really look into that sense of being that, because that sense of being that has a big influence here in time. This is its like ballpark, yeah. So and it's also beautiful when the body idea comes up and says it's impossible not to be a body, because you can see that as an after message, yeah? An after broadcast. And now you've been established in the before, yeah? The before is always established, but in this seemingly so, you know, seemingly one definition of the word, or someone else is coming in, all right, let me let them. One definition of the word is that everything is appearing true or false to you, really. So you are the dominant influence in the dreaming. Yes, this is dreaming, because if this was real, the reality of this tree would impose its reality on me, or the reality of this would impose its reality on me. Yet, like I was laid up when I got run over by the car, I was in one ward of the hospital, orthopedic, whatever, not orthopedic, something. Well, where everyone was very damaged, legs and bodies. And we all had trajectories, and some people that didn't drink started to drink, other people that were drinking stopped drinking. So the same very severity of damage didn't produce the same reactions. Yeah, it was the subjectiveness still overrode it, and it was pretty, it was a pretty determined condition getting run over that severely. I mean, it's had its effect for 40 years or so now. So it wasn't like, oh, I had a thought about something. It was really in the imaging, it made an impression. Yeah. And this is what it does. That's why pain is its greatest ally, physical pain, because it verifies the fact that it must be real if it feels so bad. Yes. And then the suffering, then the subjectiveness responds to that pain, and then you have suffering. Yeah? Because it now doesn't, the conscious contact of the pain is now an interpretation in time. And so there's things, feelings, and thoughts that it's going to be like this for a while, or it's going to get worse, and stuff like that. Yeah. So the pain is it's like a petri dish. It can grow a lot of suffering in. And after all the years, this is one of the dominant questions you get. in a way. Well, what about physical pain? Yeah. Basically, because we would like to get out of it, obviously. But the thing is, this isn't a get out of jail free card. Yeah. It's that you're not in jail, but there is effects, yeah, of seemingly being in jail because this experience is of the body. Yeah. And if you've ever had an opportunity where you've been out of the body, you realize almost all your discomfort and anxiety, even all mental, is of the body. I mean, you fly when you're not in the body. Yeah. You're just, and you can see by the absence of the body's influence how influential it is. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to talk slower because I don't want to get too, because my lungs hurt a little. So pain happens. The suffering is sort of optional. Yeah. Yeah. And this is about the idea of the Course in Miracles about saving time. This is where saving time is very, very valuable in a way. Yeah. You get over things quicker and you don't make things worse longer. Yeah. This is an aspect of traveling lighter. Yeah. Things are accepted, not begrudgingly. In other words, you acknowledge what's actually happening. And then the reaction to that may be the same old, but it shrinks in time and, let's say, emphasis. Yeah? So you travel lighter through what you didn't travel lighter through before. Yeah. You have an acceptance of you're greeting, or as my friend Roman said, he's open. So you're open to the moment-to-moment contact. You're here, you're present, and you're available. So you're engaged with the moment-to-moment contact. And in that, and therefore, if you have a physical pain, it changes quite a lot. You think it's just one pain, but it changes. Yeah, I've had it in the hospitals. It doesn't pulsate the exact same way. You have dips where it's not bothering you, and then there's the bother you. But the suffering doesn't emphasize the dips. It emphasizes a projection that's going to last forever. Yeah. So it uses pain to play a lot of the old songs. So I would love it, but that would be, let's say this was an amusement park in the universe, and you came to it and you said, I want the platinum ticket. Yeah, I want to go into a virtual reality. And to be the platinum ticket, you have to forget that you're reality when you go into the virtual reality. And therefore, you ask for the best rides, and these are the best rides. Yeah. You love to get out of something. You can't get out of something because you paid for it, like this. You're going to those islands tomorrow. And you're begging and this and that, but the deal was made, you're on it. And this a thing too, this is the ride. Now this ride entertains a lot of other rides, but this is the ride. And you're not getting off of this ride at the moment. That's one of the qualities of this ride. It seems you can get off the other rides, but getting off this ride could be called death, let's say, something like that. So that's why we emphasize traveling lighter, because you're going to travel here in this event and this experience. You're going to have senses that this is real. You're going to have senses that things get worse or better. You have senses that this is why the idea of having these meetings where people get really insanely wanting to know about, is it self-will or predetermination, or is it predetermination with self-will in it? So the self-will is predetermined to begin with. Yeah. So, and I was reading this old pamphlet from Ramana, And Ramana was fielding this question once again. The person was asking him, and he said, listen, if there's a sense of individuality, there's going to be a sense of free will. Yeah. See, so at the time, the importance about this topic of free will or predetermination was based on the sense of individuality. That's why it seems so important about free will, because if you're not doing it, whose life is it anyway? It's a very important plank of the interpretation, is you're the doer of shit. so so he says, listen, and he puts, someone wants to call, that's wild. He puts the before, yeah, in the right place, not the after. It says the before of the whole thing about free will and everything is not free will or anything. It's the sense of individuality. The sense of individuality is like a package deal. And one of the packages that comes with the sense of individuality is the sense of free will. Yeah. So then you see the pointlessness of trying to figure out free will or predetermination. It's much better just to see what's trying to figure that out is rooted in a sense of individuality, and then lose interest in that, and you're going to lose interest in all these fucking topics. Yeah. I mean, you would never be on a spiritual debate team, because you're not going to fucking debate. You just lost interest in all completely, really. Yeah. So this, and he says the only value in these questions, and he's talking about two, but it's about a large field. Yeah. The two questions of predetermination and self-will is to see who the hell is asking about that. Who wants to know? That's where the value. Yes. Because it's constantly going to the before. Instead of going on the wild goose hunts from the after, he always brings you back to the before, because that's what you're looking for, and that's what's looking. Yeah. So you lose interest in this predetermination or free will, because you can see it. You can go to a 3-week thing and be convinced you don't have free will, and then go into a Baskin Robbins fucking 28 flavors of ice cream, and you're thinking all the way you walk in there you want vanilla, and then you get mocha. That just blew the 3 weeks of fucking seminar on free will, because this seemed to have just demonstrated you have free will. You went for the mocha instead of the vanilla, something. Yes. So those 3 weeks, puff, just like the fragility of we were talking about last night. After a couple of weeks, meditate. Don't take the freeway. Don't hear any loud noises. In other words, we got to fucking coax this thing to last a little longer, because we know it's going to just evaporate sooner or later, and the dawning of the selfing will start arising, like every day the sun arises. So yeah, so I couldn't believe that. Stay away from the freeways. Don't watch any army movies. Listen to Jimmy Buffett or something. Don't listen to Tool or something. I mean, what the fuck? If this is so solid, why does it have to be protected so much? Yes. And I used to hear that from the old guru I was with. He would say, hey, listen, if you can't meditate on Fifth Avenue, fucking, it doesn't matter. All your meditations in the temple. Yeah. If you can't have that sense of rootedness wherever you are, it's not valuable. Yeah. It's not truly it. So again, I really emphasize the before, because time is part and parcel of the dreaming. Yeah. Things that are impossible to be so seem to be so through time. Yeah. Time is it's like a liquid you can pour on the lens of a pair of glasses, and it doesn't seem like you have another lens, but it's when you look through the lenses that you think are your eyes, you see through time. Yeah. And then things that could not possibly ever be so appear to be so. They seem to be so. Yeah. And then and the magic trick of it is the same thing that Ramana said. There's selfing there. So here, it's like that mountain. There is no self. Then there's selfing. Yeah. And then the selfing now implies there's a self. So here's the fact: there is no mountain or self. And then selfing occurs and implies there's a self. But the fact there is no self. But this then is presupposed to be before the before. So now you are starting as a self. Yeah. That's where you're starting from. And basically, the possibilities shrink. And one of the ones I ended up in is trying to get out of self. Really, it seemed to be the best move I could fucking make was get out of this thing that is causing an irritability, restlessness, and discontent, basically. Yeah. And yet that wanting to get out reinforces the in. Yeah. There's no way you're going to change the after that is seen to be the before. It's just not going to work. Yeah. It's always going to neutralize whatever you fucking do, whatever bomb you put on it, or whatever spirit curse or thing you put it on it. It's all avoided in the before. Tibetan Buddhists use a lot of the analogy of a sky as open mind. Yeah. So here's the sky. Let's say they have firework displays. Does the fireworks displays open up the sky? No. Yeah. If there was an explosion in the sky, would the sky get hurt by it? No. Yeah. Sky is a space that allows everything to appear in it. Yeah. But everything that's appearing in it doesn't affect sky. Yeah. This is like mind. This is how mind is. Yeah. So mind. So these things, like when it's raining, the sky doesn't get wet. The rain grows and drops on things. Yeah. So this before is the unsuspected inner resource, as we believe we've been cast into time and space. It's the before of time and space is what's going to provide a lightness traveling through time and space. And we can say, well, no one's traveling through time itself, but you sort of feel like you're doing it. Yes. Yeah. So let's not make the absolute the enemy of traveling light. Just get onto the dog shit awareness, and then just see what happens. Yes. And I'll tell you, if like Vlad shared, it was a very apt description of, I feel, one of the effects of hearing this message. Yes, it can take a lot of different expressions, but that's a common one of recognizing it. And some of the people on the Zoom that aren't here this weekend or week, whatever, I've seen their facial structure change. They were very fucking serious and very intense, and probably taking notes and everything. And after a few weeks, there was no notes and nothing like that. And they were laughing, and like Angie. Yeah, Angie was a very stoic face when she first showed up on the Zoom. I swear to God. And then Angie just changed, and now I call her the laughing Torontoan, whatever, because she's now smiling a lot. But she wasn't when I used to see her on the Zoom. So I seen and I knew. And the people, their facial structure just changed, and they're just chilled out. Yeah. And that allows you to be, you're present, period, but it allows you to be present. That's all. Yeah. The fact that you're present and awake is a fact, but in dreaming, you can seem to be asleep. Yeah. It doesn't change the fact, but you can seem to be asleep. So in a way, either you're seemingly awake to being awake, or you're seemingly asleep to being awake, but they have their effects here. Yeah. And I feel if you're seemingly, and the beautiful thing to be seemingly awake to being awake, you've hit the bonanza because when the roulette ball lands on this, it's a real color. You hit it. Yeah. Even though you've been making shit that isn't true, seemingly true, the ball finally hits the fucking money, and then ding, And it's much different. It's much different than making shit up. Yes, changes your whole posture. And you didn't even know, you know, you just rolled the thing. Wait a minute, I won. What? The head says, forget that, roll another one. And then from then on, you always bet 38 black or whatever. That you're not leaving the game to chance in chance. Yes, you got the inside move. I'm not moving from this. What happens if nothing seems to be real where you land? Are you going to be able to recognize reality from non-reality, let's say, or false evidence that's false evidence? Probably not. If you are looking at false evidence from false evidence, you're probably going to swallow a lot of false evidence. Just the way to go, because and even if you want to be having extreme discrimination to recognize false evidence from true, you're not recognizing the representation of the false evidence here. So you super clear, but you're not clear. Yeah, I don't, you know, you're a professor of holes. You can tell me about every fucking hole, but I see you in one all the time. Why do I want to? I don't want that knowledge. If I had knowledge of holes, it would be to avoid holes, so to speak. That's the point. So the knowledge that we need, in a way, is about what we're not. Because obviously, being what we already are is done a deal. You're not going to make yourself into being what you are. But you can see you've been made, seemingly been made to be something else. You can see it from what you are, finally. Instead of having your vision get and then seen from another point of view, what's called self-centeredness, you now see that move. Yeah, you see it. There's nothing before us, nothing. Every trick of the head is played to us. It's not played on us. We're the before. It's played to us. It's wanting to manufacture consent, basically. Yeah. It's a giant advertising campaign. Yeah. But we are the before. So everything that it says can be verified not to be true. When it says it's the one who owns the house and you're sitting in the house, you're going to be able to beg to differ because you're sitting in the fucking house. When it says shit's going to be fucking terrible and you're there and it doesn't seem to be right now, you're not going to fucking buy it. Yes. And that which is playing God, instead of having a large square, will shrink down to a smaller square. It will still play God, but it will be quite humorous, hopefully. At least most of you are to me. I have to contain myself not to laugh as much. So I'm getting a lot of entertainment value. When I see you, I see this. Yeah, it's good. So I hope you get a sense of it because you are it. I hope, you know. It's not we're trying to conjure up a magical sense. We're just pointing out that other sense is manufactured and the I am sense isn't. The I am sense doesn't need a lot of reinforcement. It's bright and alive in its own. What's not true needs a lot of reinforcement to seem to be true. And voila, the activity, the overactivity of the head, where at the point concerning this, the conscious contact as the starting point of this dreaming, it has absorbed a lot of the other gates' interest and attention. Yeah. A lot of people aren't feeling anything during the day. They're not touching, they're not stopping to smell anything, the rose or anything. Yeah. They're living almost like the dog with mange, with a comb. They're just listening to this narration to the point that it can eclipse what's happening, seemingly. Yeah, it never does, and it never did, but it seems to. Yeah. And You know, crucify me in the absolute state. I want to see you travel lighter. And I don't think it's difficult. You've got the ally right where you are. The ally that is before everything. Yeah. It's not the awareness that has been used, that has been turned into a form of looking. Yeah. And now you are falling into that dilemma of you're using what you are to look for what you are. Yeah. That the before makes that crystal clear. The before reverberates the statement, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. The before reverberates the seeker is the sought. The compression of the idea of a seeker and of a sought, compression of that into an immediacy of an inherent condition, just like that. You want to see a perfect time-space sandwich get squished. The seeker and the sought. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. The seeker is the sought. Boom. Immediate. Squish. Time and space sandwich. Boom. There you go. Yeah. Reverberates. How many reverberations do you need? I don't know. Yeah. And after you get reverberated to a point, you may like reverberation. So you'll go to satsang for the joy of it. Yes, not seeking anything out of it, but it's fucking better than hanging out listening to somebody's story about some cousin that stole money from him 35 years ago. Fuck, you know? I probably would, I'm just, you know, projecting quite a lot, but I would be afraid to sit at some of those tables in our cafeteria. And listen to a few hours. I just don't know. I wouldn't want to have paid for that. I mean, I try to avoid a lot of stuff. I know that seems so, but I walk in there, I feel strange. This ain't the high school I went to. That's what I'm like, what the fuck? It's a little scary. If that occurred, my real vacation is where I'm at home. This would be work. So there's in recovery, we say there is a solution, which is beautiful. And the solution is before the problem. The solution is not found after the problem. It's before the problem. In the before, there's no need for a solution because that cannot possibly be a problem. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. All your problems are going to come and go. There's none of them that are going to stay that long. Even though I've been run over by a car, my feelings and the effects of it have changed every day, different ways. Yeah. I do not feel like I did when I got run over by a car. Yeah. Yet I have the same damage to me. No. Changed unbelievably. Yeah. Head adapted to it, included it. Fucking, yeah. Yeah. Have a life, good quality of life. Yeah, there you go. Doesn't pay much attention to it. It cut off my foot fetish, my shoe fetish, which was upsetting. I see some incredible shoes at thrift stores, and it doesn't fit on this foot. I buy them anyway. And I have a box of 40 shoes, but they all cost less than $6. So how did I lost about what, $80? Yeah, I try my best. It's hope, eternal hope. Oh, I hope this works. These actually work. These olakais from Hawaii. So I've cornered the market on these. I have a few of them. Yeah. But nothing needs to determine your life except the before. Yeah. Yeah. So That's how I see it. And it is, you can taste the idea of before through all the aroma of time that you smelled. Yeah, that's why we're using time to imply a before. A before of what? All that time. Yeah. All that time has seemingly concocted up on you. You know how you're doing something beautifully and the time just rushes by. You're at work, it goes so fucking slow. Yeah. That gives you a sense of recognizing the before. Having to be force-fed the after, when you taste the before, it brings a certain gratitude that if you were always clear on the before, it wouldn't be produced, because you're relieved of something. You're fucking relieved of something. It's like, just like when you haven't eaten a while, food tastes great. Yeah, more than usual, because yeah, you're appreciative. Just like, and it's like after the talks, I bet you the food tastes better because you get heightened, your senses, and one of the senses gets heightened, and food tastes really good. Yeah, all these years. So there is a thing that happens here where there's value in everything, and there's the value in time, because it's now you see the value and the glory of timelessness. And that is, as Jesus says, you know, you're in this world, and in this world it's of time, so obviously, yeah, but you're not of it. And that's the beauty. So the beautiful solution, or the balm we most need in time, is not of it. Yeah. And this is the before. And the product of the before is nothing. There you go. I've been selling it for years. I'm going to keep selling it. Nothing. You already have it. I can't give you any more. I cannot give you more nothing. You're up to you're completely fucking drenched in nothing. can't squeeze any more in there. So yeah. Any questions or shares? Yeah. It's nice to see Alan. I've known Alan over the Zoom, and I saw the disappointment in his eyes the first day when he saw me. It happens all the time. It's okay. I know. Sort of like, you know, I put up different pictures on Match.com, and when the first date occurs, they're always very disappointed. So it's okay. I get over it. And then, oh yeah, this one time I spoke in England. It was cool. It wasn't actually. It sucked. It rained every day. But what happened was cool. And so I flew into London. I didn't know the guy. Obviously, he knew me. He had invited me. And so I got a long flight, and I'm in Heathrow. I can't recognize him, so I'm just standing there. Should have had a sign, Paul Hedderman. And then he came in about an hour later. And so we get in the car and we put my shit in. And then we drive north for 4.5 hours. So I'm going, when are we going to arrive? He brings me up to Norwich or something. I have no idea. He's living in a pig farm. It doesn't have a road. There's no lights. Seriously. He's got it set up. He has porta sands. He used to work for big festivals all around Europe. So he had this giant roll of coconut sort of grass that he spread over like a bog. He got this from eBay. He bought you can build your own log cabin. And he built this cabin and put in a hot, what you call it? One of those little ovens, you know, keep your stove. Wood stove. No one could find the fucking place. They all had to stop at the fucking pub to find out where this guy lived. And then these people came. Yeah. It was the first time I did the talks in London. And I was sitting in the cabin, and they'd come in, and their face when they saw me was worth the whole fucking trip. I mean, they had, you know, it just really blew me away. each person, because they had been watching probably for years on YouTube. I never met them, never had correspondence with them. And then they come in and they see me. Before, if I saw someone come in, I duck in the past. But I was there, and just, oh, there's just so much. It was awesome. And then another one come in, and then we were all in there for 3 days. You know, they were selling. Oh, the food was fucking terrible at the hotel. It's unbelievably bad Indian dal. It's terrible. Everything was terrible. And then these two people who were well off, and they were very astute with non-duality teachers, they came into my caravan, and they were much bigger than the little table, you know, and they're sitting there like huge, trying to convince me to go south of London. They'll set up talks when the rain's coming and I'm sitting in this caravan and shit. And yet he had all the wood chips in the fucking, taking shit in an outhouse, and it was just fucking, it wasn't like, it wasn't the circuit, you know, people go and speak. I was there a week. It never stopped raining. And it was amazing because everyone I was with, he was driving me. I go, why is everyone walking around with t-shirts on? It's fucking raining. And they had given up. The English just said, fuck it. They had no raincoats. It's just walking. It's just, it was, but the beauty of what the message can do to somebody's life, never even meeting them, never knowing them, it doesn't matter, yeah, because it's all rooted in a possibility that rests right where you are. No matter what condition you think you're in or gonna be in, it's readily available at all times. And it's not based on what you think gaining interest, it's loss of interest. The prize is gained by losing interest because you are the prize. See, that's why. Do you see that gaining interest would be about you not being the prize? And you need the prize to be something else. So gaining interest isn't what works, it's losing interest. And if you try to lose interest as self, that's interest in self. You can't try to lose interest. You hear satsang, and then you're going to start losing interest. Yeah. And it's almost like you'll watch a migration, and not one of those birds you see migrate are you going to call yours. Which is, and then they all settle down in a different pond and this and that. And there's a whole new sense. And how you emphasized everything, because you didn't, the head has. The head has highlighted so much shit. And in that highlighting, you're missing so much other stuff. That gets all changed. It does. You see anew, literally. And a lot of the seeing anew is based on emphasis. The emphasis shifts. Yeah. And then that boat that was always leaning this way is now balanced. It is. And it rides better in this place. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm happy to be here sharing this space. I am. Yeah. I think gathering here, the sum is not the sum of the parts. There's something else that gets produces, let's say a cloud of grace or something. It just opens up and becomes available. And again, you know, I joke a lot, but I honor it greatly. Yeah. I remember I did a talk in Julian. We called it non-Julian. Julian outside of San Diego. Called it non-Julian because a lot of people were there. And some guy was sitting there eating. I said, hey, listen, bro, you got to stop eating. You know, let's honor this event a little bit. It's not like a dinner engagement. It's like, you know, at a dinner lounge, you're going to hear a little satsang. Yeah, so I have that in me. Yeah. So, anyone want to share or any question? Yes.
Yeah, just firstly,
Hmm?
I think firstly I came across you about 3 or 4 years ago. A lot of gratitude in my heart for. I think at that point was a nudge. It's a bit like a nudge because I've been on the path, so to speak, for 30 years, right? And so firstly, yeah, the gratitude, and what brings me here, I think, is to spend time with your humanity, really, and the humanity of others, where it's reliable. It seems to be a reliable humanity. It might seem like a strange thing to say, but yeah, there's a curiosity here around, for me, the journey. When I first opened myself to maybe there's more going on, it was very stuck in the head.
Yes.
Very stuck.
Yeah.
OCD, clinical depression, you name it, it was pretty bad. And that's all gone, right? And part of the journey was, what was significant was coming into the sensing. It seemed to be a pivotal kind of.
Yeah.
And this is not what was taught in my order, for example. They didn't. They just came from here. Do your meditation from here. Do everything. And it was a bit like there's something not quite right with all of that, right? Well, not even not quite right. It's really, really
yes.
terrible. So this thing around, and you allude to it a lot, coming from the fullness of who we are, and for me that seems to be the portal. Seems to be the sensing. Because when it's in the sensing, it is available to the more. It can rest in itself. This can rest in itself, right? And then something more can come through, as it were, something like that.
Yes.
But it can't come from here. So I'm just curious about your message. When you offer your message, and people are much more in the head, how that lands, because if they're more in their body, it's almost like, well, actually, it seems to be almost like a prerequisite to being available. That's my curiosity.
Yeah. Well,
I know there's no methodology and there's no sequence, but it does seem kind of important, that thing around living from the richness of this, So
well,
I'm just curious around that.
Yeah. Well, sensing, first of all, hasn't been split by the dualistic view. Yeah. So when you sense something, it has more of a true ring than when it's given name and categorized. Yeah. So, and basically, that's what's happening is sensing. Yeah. You're picking up something, and something else is reacting to that picking up, and it's trying to tell you what that something is. So the mental state reacts to you, to this conscious contact, and tries to tell us what we're in conscious contact with, and has. Yeah. And therefore, the sense now is being used to reinforce something other than where the sense came from. Yeah. So it's a stealing of the sense to further its own ends. Yes. Yeah. And so I go by, to me, it's interest and attention is a sense. Yes. Yeah. To me, the sense of presence is undirected interest and attention. When interest and attention is manifesting and having engagement, it's one thing, but when it's resting, to me, that's presence.
Yeah,
and so
that's the presence is really important here for me.
Well, of course. Oh, yes, for sure.
That kind of
Yes.
around full sensory, living in itself awareness.
Yes, yeah. So, and the thing is, the sense rings true. What comes after the sense changes things, or tries to, or divert things. But when you feel that aha, let's say at your first satsang or something, that bell rang beautifully. The note wasn't interrupted or affected or changed, and it probably kept you coming back for years and years and years now. And that was a sense, bing, like that. Yeah. So, of course, the dualistic this is not duality. This is a seeing through dualistic glasses. So basically, what we see gets interpreted is dualistically, but there's just what's happening. I don't believe there's a solid anything. I think it's all verbing. Yeah, but the interpretativeness of the head has a split program. Yeah, so we're seeing everything dualistically first and foremost, which is off. So the unreliability of that which is offering itself to guide us or be us is obvious, and we run into it so fucking much. But as the Course said, we read today, after this thing has made itself to be you, why would you ever be suspicious it's going to give you wrong information? Well, you are now, and we are now suspicious of that. And that's when the senses become more relied on than the dissection of it after. Yes? Yeah. So the dissection, it appears. So you sense the frog and its liver, and then you see the fucking, after they did the thing in the biology class, you see the liver. Your sense is much different than when it's been operated on in a dualistic manner. Yes, the whole thing in Hinduism is like name and form. Yes, there's consciousness, and then name and form starts showing up, and then an impossibility becomes the norm, which is being unconscious to being consciousness. I mean, that can't happen just on, that has to be manufactured. I mean, you don't get there through like a little oops. It has to be manufactured and reinforced. I mean, big time. That's why people always want, why am I obsessing over these inane things? It's not the things you're obsessing over. It's the obsession reinforces the identification. So it has to obsess over shit to reinforce this flimsy identification that you're the body. Because there's a sense in there that you're not. Yeah, and I had that sense rang when I saw my Uncle Fred at the funeral when I was 9 years old. See, those sense moments last forever, at least in time here. I've never forgotten it. I was 9 years old. I met this guy a couple of times when he would come to family parties or whatever, cousin of somebody, and he died, and my mother took me to the funeral, and there was an open casket, and she said, Paul, do you want to say goodbye to Uncle Fred? I wasn't that keen on it, but she grabbed my hand and brought me to it, and when I looked in and I saw what I used to call Uncle Fred, it was clear that wasn't Uncle Fred. Yeah, I mean, you could have talked me into it for thousands of years, but the sense was that ain't Uncle Fred. I mean, so, oops. But then in hindsight, the recognition of it was later. Why I saw Uncle Fred as a body is I was in that condition here. I was taking the body to be me, so why wouldn't I take the body to be him? Even though, but that was never before the sense. The sense was always before. And when the bell of the sense rings, it has a different tenor. It sounds different than that constant ringing of the mental bells. It does. Yeah. It does. Yeah. That's why you get a sense that it's like, this is knowledge before knowledge. Yeah, I had that sense. Yeah. You get a sense, this is the last answer, which is an incredible answer. I had a sense like an unspoken yes. That was a sense at satsang. It wasn't what they said. I had a sense of something when they were saying shit. Yeah, bing. And those senses is what I left with. Not what they said, but the feelings that got generated when I was hearing satsang never left me. They set off avalanches in the fucking manufactured Alps up here, and fucking there you go. Yeah. And so, exactly. Just like if you were blind, you'd have to feel something. You walk around the room to get there. Yes? There's a sense before all those senses. There's a sense of from the I am that recognizes shit in such a thorough way. It may happen in 1 second, but it's going to last for the rest of your life. That thing with my Uncle Fred has lasted for the rest of my life to this day. Because it happened in a split second, and it didn't stay for longer than a split second, but the effect has been huge. Yeah, this is the power. Time. That's why more isn't it. You don't have to have more of shit. Yeah, the tiniest little bit can be all you need. Yes. Yeah. So, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Well, the body is ill now. I sense that. Yes. The body is ill. My lungs are a little hurt. No alarm is going off in the system because it feels familiar to it. And it thinks it's not going to be the all-ending catastrophe it's constantly concerned about. And this too shall pass. Yes? Yeah. So it's when it senses something unfamiliar, the captain of the boat usually jumps off. Then you don't hear from him. Like when I had the COVID and we were up in it had me, whatever. We were up in Pescara. I was laying on a couch and my lungs just went on fire. And my head was familiar to a certain point. Then it realized it was like one of those messages of a forest fire. 1% contained. It was a wild, and it just jumped ship. I didn't hear anything. No, there was no narrative going on. It just threw at the captain's hat and jumped overboard. I've had it happen about 5 or 6 times in my life where that thing that's continually yapping just jumps off the boat. And then he comes back as if nothing happened. But its absence didn't escape me. I swear. I hit my head in the water surfing, and I had gotten a concussion surfing in Australia years before. This was important because this is what caused the second concussion to be way worse. Yeah. So luckily I hit it straight, and it shut off the nervous system. Luckily I landed on my back, or I could have drowned. Yeah. Because I couldn't say anything, couldn't move. I was just alive, but no moving or anything. And there was no narrative. It had just, the brain had gotten whacked at it, like the needle skipped, and nothing moved it back on the fucking record. It was just, and it was gilded with gold, really. The view that I had like a goldish frame. It was wild. I was just laying there, no thoughts. And then they came to put me on a surfboard, took me in. They always cut your wetsuit off. And I would have said something. It would have said something. Don't cut that. It was $300. But it still didn't say anything. And then suddenly, the first words it uttered is, I can't afford the ambulance. Basically, let me die here because I can't. $30,000, no fucking way. Just let me die. Let me roll over in the sand. Wow. By its absence, my heart did not grow fonder. By its absence, I got wiser. It was amazing. I mean, I saw the emperor with no clothes, really, and something was really sticking out. Yeah. It was. Yeah, and so it's jumped ship a number of times in my life. Yep. Yes, honey. There's nothing I felt, nothing there. I had no, there was no call or response. It was just is. Seriously. It was, it's, in a weird way, I like it. I like when he just takes off its uniform and just skips down. I do. It's fun because the time you need it the most, it's not available. It's just bye bye. That's what happened when I came out of the coma when I got run over. It was talking as if it was in the corner of the ceiling. Yeah. And my condition was the prana, my life force was almost out. It was like almost, I never felt that weakness. Unbelievable. It's like the tiniest little thing could have blown it out. Yeah. So there was the physical feeling condition. There was the life force. And then the thing was way up in the corner, seeing if it wanted to land again, so to speak. It was sort of weird. It was like thinking, hey, did I go too far or something? I don't know. I don't know. But see, it just happened. Your mind, I'll tell you one more story. I was in Bali. This doesn't matter, but I was in Bali with a girl, a woman with her son. And I like waterfalls. Who doesn't? So we were on the north end of Bali looking for waterfalls. We stopped at this village and we asked, hey, do you have any waterfalls? And there was a sign, waterfalls, like 2 miles. So we walk up to that. It's a waterfall. It's really beautiful, very thin, but a couple of ponds. And there it was. And so we're swimming. And I go under the waterfall and I feel like a giant invitation. Like something is right there going, hey, you, yeah? And I went, yeah. And then suddenly just went off. Yeah. The Paul show stopped. And this was great because I had 2 witnesses, the girl and the kid. So I just went somewhere else. Yeah. And so it ended up, I'm sitting on a rock, just like my face turned into a kid's face. She saw all this shit, just dropped years of tension. And then I ended up coming sort of to on a rock, like meditate, sitting calmly. And everything just blissed out. Suddenly I hear a voice, like from behind a rock. Yeah. Don't recognize it as mine, nothing. I just hear a voice. It starts talking to me. And then it starts seemingly like moving closer. Yeah. So it's talking to me, talking to me, talking to me. And then it gets to this point where it's talking as me. It was so wild. It really was. It was like talking to me, and then, oh, and it was just shifted his seat. Really trippy. And then it landed, and all right, the event was sort of over. Yeah. And then this girl was totally fucking blown away. And then her son was blown away. And then we walked through, and then the effects were still there. Like, you see the raindrop on the leaf, that kind of shit. He was just like fucking amazed at fucking everything. I get into the band, and then the Paul show continued, so to speak. But if it was really like that, it was not of me, and it just moved in, and it just sort of slipped in. Yeah. And it was like before the horse could say anything, the jockey was on, and then the race. I mean, large aspect blown away by it all, and but it was wild. It was a wild. It was very, very wild. I remember it. I don't remember any of it other than that part when I heard a whisper behind a rock, and then I had no idea really what a voice was or anything. Then suddenly it turned from talking to me as talking as me. I saw the exact moment that switch occurred. It's fucking wild. And then, unfortunately, it didn't seem like I could undo the, pull it out. It was like, where's the ejection? There was no ejection button. It was there and it was again. Yeah, it was a trippy. I haven't forgotten it, obviously. Yeah, I swear. I swear, it felt like it moved slowly and then crossed the line and turned to talking as me instead of to me.
Was this when you were after you were sober?
Yes, I was sober. Yeah, after I was sober. Yeah, if I was drunk, it would probably been, oh yeah. No, it was after I was sober. I was about 7 years sober then, I think.
How long do you think it was between the time the invitation arrived and you woke up on the
A couple hours or something.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were just totally gone.
Well, I had a happy face.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I felt something in the waterfall. I felt something like invite, really.
Sure.
And it was like very obvious. I don't know what it was, but I said yes, and then bam. Or it was not even saying yes. I just like, yeah. Doesn't mean anything though, because this life, just like that, came and went, and it's going to come and went. What we need is to have a home base that you don't have to hit a triple to get there. Just home base, and then you'll be able to play the game, win or lose, a lot lighter. Seriously, this is, Amelia. If Amelia had met me when I was out there, I was driven on it by and as an insane frequency when I was doing drugs, man. Most dealers would not let me come into the house. I had to send my girlfriend to get the coke. They didn't want to see me. I was just way too vibrating, like fucking, man. For that urge to get out, to have it totally shifted is mind-boggling to me. Yeah, and yeah, it's just mind-boggling.
So it sounds a bit like the story you told about the waterfall. It's like going to sleep and waking up. So when you go to sleep, it's an invitation to leave.
Yeah. Yes,
You
of course.
know,
Oh yeah.
And then you come back, and it's a little bit. It's also there's a little whisper. I have no idea what the fuck it is, and suddenly.
Yes, it's like that. And we 100% give up. 100% give up. So basically, we're surrendering every day. Tonight, I had the great joy I was the one who found my father dead, and he had been ill very long, and he had a smile on his face, and that's never changed. I hadn't seen him smile in a long time because of the pain. And he had a very nice little smile, and it made a huge impression. Yes, yeah. I feel like it's like that. See, the thing is, there's never going to be a narration of the journey without the narration of the journey. I mean, you know what I mean? Like when when this ends, there's not going to be a you that remembers it ended. The whole thing gets sucked into Shiva, and then it'll be spit out again. I mean, there's not like a part of you, oh, I've just died or something. No, it's over. The voice box shuts off when the body shuts off. It thinks it has wings. It's just been nesting with you, and it's going to take off to a better, bigger body. It's fucking, yeah.
There's no brain which separates the.
That's right. Exactly. The camera just took its last picture. Yeah. No more prints. Yeah. Hey. And yet, I hope my lungs feel better tomorrow morning. Yeah. I'll give them tonight. Because I'd like to see every one of you guys see the island, and I'd like to be there with you. because there's nothing like swimming in the great greenest aquamarine together. It creates a bond. Most of us that were there last year, we swam in these waters off of Puya, and then I'll never forget them or the water. So it was so beautiful. This water is so beautiful right here. Yeah, so yeah, I'm really hoping that we all feel well and we can go to the islands and yeah. It was weird though today. You know, it was weird because the presentation is, oh, we can go to these lovely islands or we'll go see how they make pistachio fucking. I mean, the level of interest dropped fucking considerably when they were trying to sell us the pistachio farm. No one wanted the pistachio farm. And even Mauro came to me and pistachio farm instead of the islands. That I sensed. I didn't have to know. I knew. I'm going. No way. That's an easy, even toss up. No, I don't think so. 2 islands and pistachio. So you get senses all the time. Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's what we just talked about with the Course in Miracles. This thing's talking to you and you don't understand the word it fucking says, really. You've just adapted to some fucking impossibility. And it's what he said. It says this thing does not communicate. It's not communicating to you. It's broadcasting to you. That's what it does. It narrates a pre-narration with no editing by you, and it's either that or what. You can't get the Ryanair price. Yeah? You gotta fucking take it or leave it, and we take it. Yeah. Here, I have this incredible gold bullion thing. Hey, do you mind I give you a lead pipe? Oh yeah, sounds like oh yeah, sure. I probably deserve the lead pipe. Well, you want to go? Is that it? Yeah.